We are so screwed. How are we gonna memorize all this?
Let's just go over it again. Kingdom, phylum, class.
Order, family, genus, species. I use a mnemonic device. Kevin, please come over for gay sex.
Why wouldn't you use Karen?
Because it's gay sex, dummy. Now I can't remember anything.
When I say I flinched out of a nap to save that timestamp,
I don't doubt that.
I went, and so my new thing is that I plug my phone in across the room, so when the timer goes off, I have to get out of bed
Oh, that's
or
probably
off the
wise.
couch to go do it. But I still have to listen to something because otherwise I just talk to myself in my head and I don't actually relax.
Fair.
So I was listening to this, and I had to change what I was listening to so I wouldn't lose the episode.
Well, I appreciate it.
I got you.
Excellent work.
I'm feeling goofy today, man. Welcome to episode 27. Jess, Kevin.
Hi.
What's going on, everybody at home? How y'all living? How you doing?
Other than fighting a little bit of an allergic reaction right now, I'm totally fine.
Would you like to admit what that came from?
Well, apparently cheap wine, I think is what the culprit was.
That was the culprit?
Yeah, cheap wine.
I've had that, though, like, and I'm not allergic to any alcohols. Like, I've gotten a bunch of tests and stuff from other stuff.
Yeah.
And the wine will beat me up, though.
There's something about it, man. I don't know what they're putting in it, but it was, I don't know. I woke up with an allergic reaction, so I'm stoked on that.
Does she have pets?
Yeah, just dogs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's not the problem, then.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. How's
Yeah,
your week?
buddy.
What you been up to?
It's been a good week. Mentally, it's been a very good week. I've had a lot of like humility in my life this week.
Nice.
I think would be the best way of saying it.
Do you have like a takeaway or like a lesson you could share?
Man, like the through line of everything that we're talking about, or we've been talking about probably for the last few years of, authenticity and trying to become more oneself. And I've had a lot of learning over the last week or two, and a lot of like self-reflection, self-observation, and it's been very beneficial for me, I think.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear, man.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to pursue something like as important as finding yourself or being yourself when you have someone beside you who's like going to bat for you.
Yeah.
And not me. Like I'm talking about like you and this, like I'm not going to say her name, but her, right?
Yeah.
And I think I have said her name on here. but
Yeah,
anyways.
I have to.
Yeah. But anyways, like it's nice having someone like, I describe it as running on the same path.
Yeah.
Like, like if you're in your lane on a track and she's in hers, you guys are doing the same race, but like you're in your own thing. Mm-hmm. And like, where the finish line of that is to be determined later.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you still got a running buddy, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's it's very helpful, and like I think moreover, just looking at all of life like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like finding people that are encouraging you in all different areas, even if it's little things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think for me too, like one of the things that I get really stuck with is I get in my own mind, and I get like tunnel vision when I'm in there. Like my vision gets narrower and narrower, and I think I can't think out of the problem. And then every once in a while I get a little glimpse outside of whatever narrow focus is that I have. And then I can see a little bit more objective, and then that's where the humility comes in.
Nice.
Which is just like, okay, I don't have to be so self-consumed and narrow-gazed. I can take a step back and see the areas that I can grow in.
That's good, man.
I think sometimes I get really frustrated that growing never stops.
Yep.
When
you quit learning, you die.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
yeah,
And
something I'm trying to live
sometimes
by.
I just resent that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. It's tough though, man. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to think that like not only do you have to dedicate time to something outside of your own production, which aside from like money and stuff, like a job, and you can learn and you could develop and you can spend time trying to pursue that, and then to have the energy on top of that to do your own thing and learn and grow yourself. Like, it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah. And giving myself license to do so, I think, is the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I tend to, well, I do know why, but it's just habit at this point of needing a co-author, needing someone else to tell me that it's okay.
You don't need to get famous off someone else, is what I heard.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, shit.
Yeah. No coattails needed if you just keep on your thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I even even said that phrase. I said, I am looking for someone to tell me it's okay to do XYZ, or like to give me license to do whatever the thing is. And I think that's, you know, we had that talk about trusting yourself, and I'm trying to explore that as much as I can. And it's been very helpful in my opinion. So thank you.
That's good.
For the insight. It's been very helpful and gives me a little bit more peace in my, even when things are stressful.
That's good, man. I'm glad to hear.
How about you? How's your week?
My week's been pretty good, man. We had Freeze the Fall release. Their first single and music video came out.
Man, it
debuted.
sounds great. Looks great.
It went crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's got 4,700 views at time of filming this after 3 days.
Nice.
They just crossed 1,000 subscribers now too, which is just like unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
They should though. They're like, honestly, they're good, and they're at the point where if they can keep, they have something there, in my opinion. And I think like if they can keep the joy of it and just keep on pushing towards doing the thing that they love doing, then man, I don't really see a limit there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I see a lot of talent, and as a 3-piece too, like that's crazy.
What's cool is like they've got a really, really, really strong team with them. Like we call them the Momagers, and then like I can't remember the dad. It's like the dad tech team, and but like they've got marketing like on lock. They've got like relationship building on lock. They've got social assets on lock. Like they've got everyone working these parts, and it's amazing to see it all come together, man. And it's really cool because, I mean, everyone believes in their kid.
Yeah.
Like they kind of like you kind of have to in a sense, but like when the whole world is telling you. Because 80% of their Kickstarter donations were outside of Canada. So, like, when that happens, it's like, I'm now much more willing to be tired. Back to that whole thing of, like, self-discovery and everything. It's like, this is, like, an opportunity that you can hand off to your family. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'd be up all night writing emails, too. Like,
Yeah. I get that. I mean, it's really cool to see. Like, being Canadian for sure. I'm always excited for that. But, like, starting off so young.
yeah.
You just have such a leg up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And, oh, man, we'll get into this because I want to talk about it in a bit. But I got to interview the band before the single release.
Yep.
And the audience asked what the song was about. It's called Glitch.
Yep.
And what it is it's about being like an emotional sponge, an empathetic sponge.
No way.
And she's saying that if we were robotic, we wouldn't feel these things. And it's saying like, you know, we'd still have tears left to cry because it's like, you just fill them back up. Like instead of like the other side of that is like, I'm out of tears. Like I can't do this anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And I just went, excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, and it started as an acoustic chorus and they turned it into that.
Perfect.
And I just went like,
It's the way it should be.
yeah, man.
Man, that's epic.
Yeah.
So, who's the lyric writer?
Quinn is she's the guitar player.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
So
that's
she'll come
deep.
with like an idea, and then they'll work around it to build the rest of it. And then like if they all vibe and they're cool with the idea, she'll keep coming up with the verses. But Aria, the bass player, is saying harmonies on the record too.
Nice.
And so I'm assuming that she probably has like a hand in it, or they probably bounce ideas and stuff off of it. But Quinn does the most of the vocal
Nice.
writing. Yeah.
The bass sounded massive too.
Oh, dude.
That's the nice thing is it feels like they're all taking up space.
Yeah.
In the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like so often, especially if you have more than 3-piece, it's kind of like, I don't know, filling the puzzle correctly is tough. And when you strip it down that much, all of a sudden, man, you got to take up a wide footprint.
Yep.
In order for just to have the thing feel balanced.
Yeah.
And they're doing that, which
Yeah.
is wicked.
Yep. And it's in a way that I still think they'll be able to recreate live.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like put a keyboard patch in the back because there's like this arpeggio thing going on, and make the guitars big and wide, and let's go. Right?
It's hard though because you got nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
You know, it puts a lot of pressure on performance and like the individual players because you're taking up 33% of that pie, right?
Yeah. Check this out though. So they're getting their click tracks and everything worked out, and I like that's always a transition, right?
Oh yeah.
The drummer did the whole EP in 2 sessions. And he was like, it was perfect because I just got to sit back and watch. I just went like, I don't think you understand what you just said.
Yeah.
As a 15-year-old drummer,
Yeah, that's nuts.
two sessions, 2
Yeah.
days,
That's absolutely
did the
nuts.
whole EP. And it's like, I'm pretty sure it's his first time in the studio. He's performed with bands before and stuff, but like first time in the studio.
That's nuts.
And like, I guarantee you that no producer's going in there and fixing all the fast takes and stuff. Like not a ton at least. So it must have been good takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Just even to do like, I know people don't understand things when it comes to recording as to how much stuff takes time Like, just say you want to do one song,
Yeah.
right? 1 3-minute song. Well, depending on how you're going to record that, more than likely you're not going to record that the whole kit through. You're going to have to do punches or something. But if you do happen to get a full playthrough, okay, so you do the playthrough, you do your listen backs, and then you're going to have to do it probably 3 to 5 times, which is physically
even if you do a
horrible.
1-take playthrough,
Yeah.
it's still probably going to take you 4, 5, 6, 7 times to get the like groove in,
Yeah.
and you still only have demo tracks to work with, or
Yeah.
your band playing with you in the control room.
Yeah.
like, and they made arrangement changes. Shout out to Jordan from Udeli recording, I believe, West Kelowna. But he was like helping them, trim up intros and make things a little bit more cohesive and stuff. And as far as I can tell, man, like all smart decisions. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear the rest of it. That's going to be cool.
Oh man, I heard that they got the next one back, the master back today.
Nice.
And they heard it and they're like that first one was just the start.
Nice. Well, that's dope. That's really cool.
You know what worked out really good? And I'm going to go into the Warning segment here in new music. The Warning was slated to drop their new song Sick on February 2nd. And ours, Freeze the Fall, was on February 1st.
Nice.
And we went, oh shit, like, that couldn't have worked out any better. People are going to be excited about new music.
Yeah.
And then the Warning goes, hey guys, we're releasing February 1st. And we went, this could be a really good thing or a really bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Turned out to be a beautiful thing, man. So we dropped at 10:45 our time, and the Warning dropped at 6 p.m. our time. So everyone was geared up. Everyone was ready to headbang, man. Everyone had their headphones at work. Like,
Nice.
It was awesome, man. Like,
That's wicked.
Couldn't have asked for a better turnout.
Yeah. I like that. 3 pieces all day.
Yeah, all day. Okay, so one of the audience questions was, and I don't need to play for you a Ben Death track because you know what it sounds like.
I know so many of them.
So this is, my phone is going to die, so I'm just going to play a little bit of the new track.
Okay.
And I just want to get your opinion and your feedback. And we'll do I want to do an actual breakdown of this track with you where we sit down and go through it.
So, question before we engage in that.
Yep.
So, producer, right?
Yep.
This is what we're talking?
Yeah.
Do we know who mixed it?
No, I will look up after.
Doesn't totally matter. I'm just like I kind of view Bendeth as 2 different humans.
Okay.
Or 3 different humans. He's like there's like mixer Bendeth, then there's like producer Bendeth, because you see that from time to time too. Like I See Stars, he was producer Bendeth, and then he only mixed one song, and the rest was done by Taylor Larson.
Okay.
Or you've got producer mixer, where he does the producing and the mixing, which is like your paramours and things like that.
Okay.
And I think of them as very different humans almost. So
Well,
I'm
it's different jobs to approach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. We'll find out on that one. So here we go. This is Sick by The Warning. It's like Kevin Riff.
Yeah, I was gonna say- I didn't want to say it, but
I'll say it.
man, that's gangster.
Isn't it good?
Yeah, that's got some lean to it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so I do want to find the mixer.
Okay.
Because I'm interested.
'Kay.
It's not Bendeth. I'm 99% sure.
That doesn't sound like Ben Death. I feel like Ben Death didn't have a hand in that. And that's not a bad thing. I just I straight up almost started my YouTube channel around just reacting to Ben Death records to get started. Like,
Well, I mean, it.
I'm just bad at research, so it was hard for me to find.
That's okay. Let me just see here. Oh, Get Out of Town. That can't be right.
What's up?
No, it's not. Okay.
Oh.
I thought it was Steve Evans, which would be so strange.
Oh.
Steve Evans is like old school punk.
This is kind of
He
fun.
did Story of the Year's second record,
That'd be cool.
and he did Our Last Night's first record.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not his vibe.
Okay.
He's like I mean, maybe it is now. I don't know.
Like I said, we're gonna do a video dedicated to this anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, okay.
What'd you think of the mix?
I really like the balance of things. I really like that the guitars weren't tracked to death. They were shifted and tonally ran through other things, but it's a lot of singular guitars that are just done with some
It sounded like
some
there was
mixing
like
wizardry.
two guitar parts, but like 4 guitar amps.
I think it's like a lot of different techniques that it might be like singular guitar parts more than you might think, but they're processed like, so you would call that like parallel, running them parallel. But
Yeah.
usually what you would do, if you run something in parallel over top of each other and you start changing things within them, all of a sudden they start interacting with each other because they're exactly lined up, right?
Yeah.
So what you end up doing is you take if you copy 4 of them, you move this one this way, and you move this one this way, and you just slightly
In time,
micro
you're
shift
talking.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. She's
And-
got a 10 millisecond delay from her left to right guitar.
Yeah, and that would make sense,
Yeah.
right?
And then she's got an orange in the middle. So
yeah. I used to do 30 milliseconds,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
30 seconds. That would be a long delay.
the song's over.
Yeah, but they're all processed way different, and there's one that's kind of like almost like synth distortion.
Yeah.
Like really compressed and really forward, taking up a ton of room the whole time. The bass is processed the same way, but like cleaner. But the mid range of the bass, the meat of it is just so far forward and like
Does
perfect.
Does it sound like they're like pressing an analog console like to the teeth?
It's way past that.
Yeah, but like if you went back into like say the 70s and you tried to get this tone, that'd be like the way they were kind of doing it, right?
Yeah, pretty well.
Because it's
And-
like a modern remaking of a style.
Yeah.
It's just like today it sounds way more.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Or like you would do so like you would maybe if you had a bass guitar, you'd probably put like the low end you would be getting from just going direct in
Yeah.
or something like that. And you compress it the same way, but you'd also throw it out to a Marshall and you'd mic up the Marshall and you get your mid range from that. And then that kind of trickery where it's like, yeah, same kind of vibe where it's pushing through, but we're getting it from two
bunch of
different
different
lanes.
things.
It's going to treat it differently and that kind of thing.
Because
This is like a little fancier than that.
It has like a tight nightclub kind of like loudness to it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
and that's where like that when I say synth, that's kind of what I'm meaning. Like synths are always so big and they're so in your face.
well, if synths don't feed back, I learned that was one of the first lessons I learned in audio.
Yeah, weirdly they do not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that type of like mass, it's just like this big thick thing, and it's really hard to do with air moving speakers and microphones and all that type of stuff to get that to have that like big thickness that you can get from something digital is really challenging. So my guess is they're doing some really interesting things in order to get all of that fullness to cover all that space, because like there's not a ton of crazy extra stuff in there,
Right.
like the riffs happening in like 4 or 5 different sounds, but it's like the same riff. There's not like multitudes of overtracking, because you're going to start hearing thickness of
differences.
playing rather than thickness of performance.
Yeah. And you
And-
can hear it when it drops out to that like G string bend,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
it just disappears because you got
Yeah.
that one, right?
Yeah. Like that's something that like if you gave me one guitar and 4 Kempers and a bunch of pedals, like a micro shifter or something like that, I could probably get you that sound and then turn them on and off to make it so that performance would be a playthrough.
Well, we're setting ourselves up for failure on our next video, but yeah, that's fine. Keep making commitments.
No, I'm just saying that would be like,
Yeah.
that's achievable. When I listen to it, I'm like, oh, that could be done live.
You know what it sounds like and I haven't played with this to try to get this sound yet, but in 21 Pilots, I always talk about how Tyler's vocal has like a distortion to it, but it's
Yeah.
just there subtly.
Yeah.
And then he has like a dynamic vocal that just sits on top of it, right? So what I think is that ratio's switched.
Probably.
So you still get like you can feel the perceived volume change, but there's like that like 10-to-1 or that like brick wall on the like distorted mid-heavy vocal. And I actually think that that's across all of it. I think that's like the console replication
Agreed,
thing.
yeah.
Because like the snare drum, like it's like, when you listen to it, it's like it's thin and disgusting, but big and fat at the same time.
Yep.
And
Because it cuts through, but it's also like a really open, kind of nice sounding snare.
yeah, and like I thought that there was gonna be more of a dropout from the like kind of Motley Crue intro, the ta 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 on the hi-hats and the snare drum, but then it comes in and it's like it's still taking up as much room, but it's like way punchier, but it's kind of not like.
Yep.
It's so interesting. It just feels
Yeah.
like it's like the backwards to what I'm used to.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Because it's
Done
loud.
really well.
Well, it's loud, but you can hear everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intelligibility.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
'Cause,
for as thick and present everything is, there's a ton of intelligibility.
I was gonna play like 2 seconds of this one. This is the last one that they did from the same project. They're just doing like releasing singles.
Same
right?
producer?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Same.
So something else that I've noticed between both these records, and again, I haven't played with this to get like the specifics of it, but I'm just going to talk loosely here. I think what happens is you get the first like break the chorus into 2 sections, right? It's like 4 and 4. So the first 4 is like your regular panning, your regular spreading and everything. Then I think when it goes to the second 4, I think the guitars pan out further and the second round of vocals comes in to replace it. So you don't actually lose it, but it feels like the guitars get like pulled down to you, right?
Yeah.
And it's not I was just listening. It's not a top end thing. If anything, it might be a bottom end thing that they're losing. It's not an intelligibility thing. It's the space for the next group of vocals because now the gang vocals come in, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's just like interesting ways of making space for things so that they're still big and giant.
Yeah. I will say that song to me, I hear more Bendeth-y in.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, just like the
Song credits.
like the do boo boo do bow 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 ba do like songwriting wise, and that's where I'm also curious. Like
And Anton DeLost or DeLost?
no, totally production wise. I'm just saying like songwriting wise.
Written by Ale, Anton DeLost, Daniela, Danielle, and Paulina, the drummer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that he had a hand in it, but you can tell that they've hung out with him.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like it's interesting.
God, I hope
'cause
that's us one day.
hanging out with Bendeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought many times about sending him tracks.
I'm pretty sure he's heard one of our tracks. I'm pretty sure someone told me that they sent him one.
I don't know.
I think it was either our Ramen and OJ cover or it was. It might have been that.
I just remember there was a while back where he was doing all the Breaking Benjamin stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which when that band broke and Benjamin Burley took the whole band away from the other two, that's when they separated with Bendeth too.
Too bad.
And I remember they were taking songs for Breaking Benjamin's projects. And I was like, man, I got a couple that would be pretty cool.
Yep, I bet. Should bring him over here.
Well, yeah.
I'm not Bendeth, but we could do something about that.
No, not from that perspective, but it's just like there was a few songs that I wrote that were like, man, this would sound great with Benjamin Burley on it.
Oh,
But
oh, I see what you're saying. I was still thinking Bendeth, but yeah.
well, yeah, definitely
That
Bendeth
too.
for sure. I want to hang out with that dude. Yeah, no one makes louder stuff.
But okay, so let's go back to the warning here. So I was saying that it kind of sounds like they have a wah pedal cocked at the 4K thing or like the 1K thing. And it kind of sounds like that's on like the Master Bus too. Like there's something like pressing and distorting up high.
Well, I think so.
I'd have to go through it a few more times, but
There's something out there right now being used that gets that kind of like upper mid-range cut thing happening, and I don't know what it is.
so
But it's on a lot of things right now.
I'm just thinking about a lot of tools that I use, and I have a distortion tool where you can a distortion
One of them
tool.
toodles.
I have a distortion tool that you can separate like each like low, mid, high, and you can
Multi-band distorter, right?
Yeah,
Or
but you
fuzz
can
thing.
you can pan them and delay them per EQ section.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's kind of what it is because like you can boost the high mid and then you can pan the high mid a little further and then instead of boosting it, I saturate it and it just gives you more.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean?
Fullness, or-
Yeah. And the low end doesn't really sound good. You can find like where the low mid does sound good, but like you don't really want to move your bottom end anyways, right? Like
Yeah,
you kind of
want
want
it
it
down
to
the
be
middle
mono
most
anyways.
of the time.
So
Otherwise, it gets confusing for phase.
so I'm just wondering if people are like doing really clever things around that.
Oh, I'm sure they are. You know what I mean? But there's always usually something that like gets kind of some plugin that comes out or some tool or some audio unit or whatever, and some trick that gets kind of shuttled around through the industry. And I'm interested to see what this one is right now because I hear it on vocals a ton right now. And like when you had asked me about the distortion on 21 Pilots, that's kind of what cued me onto that.
It's like it was getting to that, right? Yeah, I know what you're talking
And
about.
It's like there's this like extra sizzle in an area that's very selective that kind of in some tracks, especially modern pop tracks, they're using in a very direct way, like super direct.
In your face.
And like so like
Here.
when we used to do like snare drums were kind of the same idea of like you're going to try and get something to let that snare drum peek through at all times, right? And so you'd use either a distressor to slam it, Symantec had this cheap thing in the 80s. It was a comp that just for some reason grabbed the front of it and just let a transient come through at all times. No matter what. It was just like, okay, you're going to hear this, even if you can't hear it the rest of the snare drum. And it's something like that with vocals and guitars and stuff like that, where there's this like intelligibility factor that's going to be there no matter how much stuff we put on it.
So I've been doing a lot of modern vocal producing as practice lately. And like when we talk about clip gain and like when you and I discuss it, the extremes that people take it is way further than you and I discuss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that does something interesting because you're technically compressing the vocal before it hits any compressors.
Yes.
You're removing all the dynamics.
Yeah, well, all
right?
of a sudden you're compressing for tone, not for compression.
Exactly. And so now if you start adding in some of these dope distortion things, even a distressor, you start adding that in and it's not working as a compressor, it's just working as like a punch.
Tone shaper or something like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like once you find your fun tools in that, man, it's like you could probably make some really cool sounding shit. And I think that
I never thought of it that way.
like, because like what I'm thinking about is in that 21 Pilots thing, I'm like, if I had a slammed vocal, which sounds different than going in and clip gaining each syllable.
Oh, very much so.
It sounds different.
Very much sounds different.
What I like to do is I like to
breathes.
yeah.
Yep.
So I like to slam a distorted vocal, 10-1, 20-1 on a distressor, right? And then I duck it underneath 4-1 compressed vocal.
Yeah.
But
Makes sense.
it's still that feeling isn't right. You still need to go through and clip gain every goddamn syllable.
Pretty well, yeah.
Because if you duck anything at 4-1, the distortion comes through and it's too much. And then now you have to look at the waveform. So if you have like it goes up and it's wide, and then your next syllable is like this, and you make them both bigger, you can't make them the same because that's not how you say words.
Yes.
So it still has to be in relation, just way bigger.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable, man. Like it's. And like I was doing that Robin and OJ song, which was a really fast lyric.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And like trying to get each syllable to stand, man. But once it's there, it's like, oh, that's that sound. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yep.
And it's a perceived dynamic vocal that is in contrast to a brick walled vocal. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then
Can you pull up, I don't know if this is going to get us kicked, but Billie Eilish, Bad Guy?
yeah.
Because I think that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I watched a thing on that a long time ago too. And we can play anything on Spotify. It's good.
Oh, okay. But yeah, there's like to the compressor differently, because you can hear that thing, like her voice is almost sounding like a train whistle where it like comes up, which is not how voices work.
It's not how
your voice ends, it tapers off as you say a word.
Yeah.
And hers in the way that they're bringing that up is like the word expands to hit the end of the word. Wah, 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 which is horns or like.
And the balance comes from something below it, which is not treated the same. It's
No,
because
very different.
It doesn't do it the same. That's why I'm saying 10-1 or 20-1, because even though the principle's the same, it's different.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Huh.
Interesting, right?
Well, and it's taking some of the interestingness of a vocal and kind of using it with the tools at hand to make it something that could almost never happen.
Yeah.
Because like if she's gonna sit there with an acoustic guitar and go da da ba 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 da, there's only one thing that can happen from a human.
Yeah.
And they've taken something and brought this like completely different energy to something and created kind of like the engineering is really a musician.
Yeah.
Like there's a musician that is interacting with every other musician in that thing.
Your uncle had a really prophetic moment when we were talking about with Susie. Susan was the flute player that we recorded. And she was talking about all these new technique styles that are coming out. So in vocals, like I'm quote unquote trained. I've practiced bel canto, which is like an old Italian style of singing. But now there's new versions because people are doing things that no one else has ever done before. And it's widely exposed via the internet. So you have beatboxing flute players now.
Cool.
And there's technique to it, bro. You can get a
course.
book, you can get all the shit. And it's real. And it's like, it's like, you know what I mean? So now we have mixing in a way that you could never get the recording to be. beyond what we used to think it could never even be.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I'm probably doing a bad job of describing the intensities that I've taken it to, and it's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's cool. I am a little bit like.
I'm a gearhead. I like how gear sounds. Like
Yeah.
if I had an Ego, if I had an LA2A in here, it would just be on all the time.
Yep.
And so I kind of get a little bit of that out of modern production because I can use things because they sound cool.
Well, and like not allowing the old limitations of the way that you view things to dissuade you from creating.
Oh, 10 years ago, I'd have hated what I just said. I'd have hated it,
That's
bro.
very fair.
Oh
well,
my
I mean,
God.
like I am fighting back a little bit of my old schooliness, right?
Yep.
Like everything that I do, music wise, or have done for the longest time, is like one of those. I try and make it so that if whatever I'm doing can just be a fader up and be good.
So let me show
Whereas
you
like
one of my mixes here that I was pretty proud of. I did the clip gaining by phrase.
okay,
And I like really paid attention to it being by phrase. And you can hear it when he goes, tension and release. And then there's the cut. Ba na 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 na. And you can hear it. But that's the only place that I did the clip gain because it's got a different feel to it.
yeah.
And then my phone's gonna die, so we're gonna move. Big intro, I forgot. Here we go.
Tension and release. By now I know I shouldn't listen every time just calling out to me.
See how like it's different by phrase. So that to me feels more like what you and I would try to approach anyways.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I couldn't get it right, even with the old 1176 into the LA2A, and I even had some preamp stuff, or not preamp stuff. I had some console compressor stuff and some bus stuff on there to glue it all together, and it just still wasn't quite there. Just like because I wanted the guitars to slam the whole time, the drums have to, and that's the thing. If everything's slamming all the time,
Yeah.
the vocal has to be slamming all the time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it is what it is, right? I think it's kind of cool.
Oh, it's definitely cool.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I would never think that way initially. Like I'd have to be kind of walking down the path towards that. My brain won't jump to that right away.
Yeah.
I can like look back and analyze it and kind of try and listen for what it is, but my brain doesn't think that way when it comes to like what am I going to treat this? How am I going to treat this?
Yeah.
I don't jump to that right away.
Yeah.
And it would take a good long work and like multiple trial and errors to get me to a place where I would think that way.
Well, even like, to that point, like when I started introducing the telephone mic thing into the drum kit in this,
Yep.
it took me forever to find it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I hated it. But once it was right, it was like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like, oh
yeah.
shit, like here we are.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. That's like any of those effect mics. It's like they are so wrong until they're right.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden it's just like exactly what you're looking for.
Yep.
Yep.
And I guess that's with most of these production elements. They only work when they're supposed to.
Yep.
If they're not supposed to happen, they won't work.
Yep.
But yeah, which, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah. Do you want to shut her down, man? I'm getting antsy too.
Up to you.
Yeah, let's call it a music
All right.
music pod. And we'll
It was
shut her
very
down there.
music. I like it.
That was fun. We'll do a couple dedicated streams to some more sit down stuff, and we'll see you all in the next one. That was some of the most fun conversation I've had about music in a minute.
Nice.
And you know what's funny is I needed that.